tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Good evening, everyone. Today we are going to conduct the Dhamma Vinicchaya series as we have been doing every month. And last month we discussed some we had a very important discussion on whether the merit of offering to a living Buddha or the Buddha who had attained Parinibbana, do two merits have the equal bearings or not? And we went into a very detailed discussion on this, and today's topic would also open another very interesting discussion regarding one of the major fundamentals in Theravada. In this regard, I will be talking something, I will be differing away from the Theravada on this perspective and giving a slightly different opinion to think about, but I'll be very clear on what the Theravada teachings are and what the Renukane Chamdavimala Mahathera has said. And at the same time, I will be giving evidence or giving proof for the argument that I will be presenting. So today's, I hope all of you got the handout. Vishwa, if you can share it in the Zoom. If anyone has not got it, I would prefer if you can share it in the Zoom. And so today's discussion is this 11th question. Does a person who makes offerings to the Buddha who has attained Parinibbana gain any merit since the Buddha does not accept or consume them? So it's a very valid question that many people would like to inquire and clarify. What is the purpose of making offerings to a person who has already passed away or who has already attained Parinibbana? Because he is neither accepting it, neither consuming it. So in that case, are we really getting merits for such offering? And some people believe that it's a waste of offerings, gifts, that because no one is consuming them or using or utilizing them. So there is sometimes there is some outcry in the society that people are wasting the money and food for offering to the Chaitiyas and the Buddha. And that will be of no use, because if this food can be given to orphanages or to beggars or the poor people, they might they will surely use it and quench their hunger. But in this case, when it is being offered to the Buddha, he is neither using it and there's no use in terms of his utility. There will be no usage. So then the question arises: is the person getting a merit by doing so? One argument one can bring forth is in the social perspective, like in the general objective, this merit has to be something done with wisdom. So if the gift is a waste and if the gift is not being used properly, would that amount to a merit? Because wholesome deeds has to be done with wisdom, with understanding. So we clearly know that it is not going to be used by the Buddha, and there is no use for him by the gift we offer. So in that case, is the person actually gaining some merit by doing so? That is the obvious question that people have, and it's a valid question in one sense. But if I scrutinize this very detailedly, we can have lots of arguments against and for this. Anyway, I'll read with what the Mahathera has said about this question, which is a very important question. The acceptance or non-acceptance and the consumption or non-consumption of the offering by the recipient is not a determining factor for the arising or non-arising of merit in the donor. If, for instance, if this is the donor and this is the recipient, right? So if a gift is being offered to the recipient, he may two things. We are referring to two things: accepting and using, consuming, two things. So the merit is arising in the person while donor is making the donation. So is this merit affected by the acceptance and usage? That is the obvious question what is been asked. And this is the basis of that question of the social outcry as well. If the gift is not being properly used, not properly means it is not being utilized, or there's no benefit for the recipient, so what is the purpose of such merit? Because it has to be something tangible. We have to see the benefits. For instance, if you are supporting Gaza or if you are supporting a poor country, we know that people would surely benefit out of this donation. They will quench their thirst, hunger, they will get shelter. So all the benefits will be there. But in this case, Buddha has already attained Parinibbana and his Namarupas are no longer existing in the world, anywhere in the world. So what is the purpose of doing so? This is applicable to offering anything to anyone who has passed away, who has attained Parinibbana. Because since the donations to the Buddha are done in abundance, so this is a question that people would obviously ask. And this would amount to even to offering flowers, candles, lights, and incense. But in this regard, people have a soft corner for this because they would prefer to interpret this as a symbolizing as a symbol of respect to the Buddha rather than offering it as something to the Buddha. So, for instance, if you are offering a lamp to the Buddha, how do the merit is gained? Is it a offering of dana or is it a offering of respect? That's the question that one had to ask in this regard. So, some would say who doesn't want to consider it as a dana, that is a gesture of respect, and we are just showing a respect to the Buddha by lighting a lamp and offering some flowers and offering some incense sticks. So even of that offering, the merit is accumulated as a means of dana. Dana means as a means of gift. So Buddha is neither benefiting out of this lamp, out of this incense, and out of these flowers. He is neither seeing them, or no aroma is experienced by him, or he is not using that light for his personal benefit. So therefore, offering anything to a person who has attained Parinibbana would have this challenge of in explaining how a merit is gained. So therefore, but some may try to explain that offering light, flowers, and incense sticks would be a gesture of respect rather than a donation, and that will still amount to a merit. We cannot just deny that argument. And the biggest criticism comes for offering food, because that would surely not be used by anyone, that would end up as a waste. That's the argument. Food and beverages. And also some requisites such as robes, atta parikaras, the 8 requisites and so forth. Now, the thing is, the question they are asking is, if no one is accepting this and if no one is using this donation would be in vain. No one is using it. So, is he getting a merit or not? Is he getting or not? This is the question. Is it a merit? The answer seems very simple if you are looking in terms of the Abhidhamma perspective, because the kamma is the chetana. Chetanaham bhikkhave kammang vadami. The volition is the chetana. Volition. So here the donor has a volition of giving up or offering something, dedicating it to someone. But only thing is, there is no response from the recipient. There is no response from the recipient. For example, if you take this example, for instance, imagine the Buddha. For example, if I symbolize Buddha, for instance, Buddha is sitting in a meditative state where he has no sensitive to the senses. He is not aware of what is going outside. He is not sensitive to the sound, neither sensitive to the color, or he doesn't know who anyone has come in front of him. Imagine he is in the attainment of cessation, Nirodha Samapatti. And while Buddha is in the Nirodha Samapatti, someone comes, for example, you comes and offers a gift to him. then now it's been dedicated to the person. Buddha is neither accepting it, is neither using it. Imagine he was in Nirodha Samapatti for 7 days, because you can last for 7 days, as the literature says. Now, after he woke up, he may utilize it, he may accept it, right? Or he may just neglect it, doesn't matter. There are all the possibilities. Now, the question is he getting a merit while he is making the offering? The obvious answer of anyone who knows Buddhism would be yes, because I'm dedicating it to the Buddha. This answer is based on the fact that Buddha is alive. He is alive. So therefore, while I'm dedicating, he's alive. So he's adding an extra component to his argument, saying that for a donation to be valid, the person has to be alive. In the Theravada doctrine, when we define dana, the definition of dana doesn't have such a component, such a factor. What it says is, it should be the object, the gift should belong to the owner, and he must give up its ownership, dedicating it to someone, either with the intention of supporting the person or as a gesture of respect, like showing the respect. In both the cases, you are transferring the ownership of this gift to someone else. That is the normal definition of the dana, of charity or giving. It doesn't have the component of a living person. It needs to be living. But someone can bring the argument and says, for a dana to be valid, the person has to be alive. For example, think about this scenario. Now, someone is sending something. For example, he says, okay, this offer to the Buddha, please go and offer to him. And while imagine about an arahant, okay, I'm offering this to an arahant, this gift, this food, it's been offered, I'm offering it, please go and offer it to him. So while I'm making this offering from far away, offerings can be done in distance as well. That's how people make donations from overseas these days. So you don't need to be closer in person. But there can be some change of effect if you are present with the person. Anyway, so when this donation was done and the person is unaware that the arahant had already attained parinibbana. Few minutes ago he had attained parinibbana, and the donor is not aware of it, and he is making the offering. Is he accumulating a merit? It seems yes, because all his intention, all his mindset was that he was alive, he is alive, and that's how he's making the donation. But him being not aware of the fact the arahant has already attained parinibbana. Parinibbana, he has died actually. He has no birth, no more birth. So is he getting a merit? Seems like yes, because the person had all this mindset. If you are referring to the definition of the karma, it says chetanaham bhikkave kamma. The volition itself is the karma. So he had the intention of donating. So obviously he must be getting the merit. In the Abhidhamma perspective, kamma, kusala or akusala, wholesome or unwholesome, are based on the nature of the volitions that arise in your mind. So therefore, Mahathera is saying, it is a direct answer that he is giving. Straightforwardly he is saying from the very outset that acceptance and usage has no whatsoever effect to the merit of the donor. So in the process of the answer, he would explain that the offering takes place prior to the acceptance and usage. So therefore, whether he is accepting it or using it, even he accepts it and even he uses it. For example, we make the offering. Okay, we make the offering. It may take at least few seconds for him to accept it, for instance. Sometimes the person may think twice whether he accepts it or not. And usage obviously happens afterwards. So the argument is, while the accepting and usage is taking place, the merit has already occurred. The merit has already occurred. The acceptance and the usage has no whatsoever effect on it. So one can argue on this. I'm just scrutinizing this question as much as possible. One can argue that when you are offering something to someone, you have a perception that he is alive. You have a perception that he is alive. So it seems like this perception, because you know you are offering to someone who is alive. In today's case, we know exactly the Buddha has passed away. In our own mind, we know that this will not be used by the Buddha. So we know you cannot cheat our mindset, our own minds. So therefore, these two merits are different. This is another very good logical argument one can bring. If someone brings this argument, please be aware, please note that he is defining the dana in a new dimension. He's saying it's not that the person is what matters is, now in the previous scenario, the person has to be alive. In this scenario, and also the person, the donor must have a perception, because now in the previous scenario, the second scenario was, yes, we are offering to a living person. In the second scenario, we are offering to a living person thinking he is alive, but while the person has already passed away, because I am making the offering from far away distance, but while the person has already passed away, so I am making the offering. It seems most of us would agree that there was a merit. Some may still say, no, there is no merit, the person has to be alive while you are making the merit. But some would say, most of us would say, in such a case, the merit has accumulated because I had a perception. I had the perception that he's alive. I believed he's alive, so I'm making the donation. So in that case, if we stand on that position and explain, in order to get the merit, regardless of the acceptance and usage, because everyone has to agree that the merit was done while the offering was made, and the acceptance and usage happened even later, at a later stage, even a few seconds later to the offering. That's obvious. That's very clear. And because he has to understand what's going on and what is the gesture and so forth. So the acceptance, even he silently accepts it, the thing may happen at a slightly different moment, even milliseconds, at a difference of milliseconds. Then what the argument would be, the person has a perception that the person is living. The donor believes that he is living. So in that case, when the person is offering to an arahant, thinking he is alive, while he is not, still the donation matters because the perception was there. He is making, believing that he is alive. Now imagine this scenario. Someone, arahant has entered into a samapatti, or is sitting still, because we know they may go into the cessation of attainment of cessation, nirodha samapatti. So nirodha samapatti, the person is still alive. So we believe that he is still alive, he is in nirodha samapatti, but unfortunately the arahant had already attained parinibbana. He has died, he has passed away. Because he is not breathing, the person is not breathing in the nirodha samapatti as well. So the donor might think that he is alive, is fully believing he is alive, but he has passed away and he is making the offering. So is he still getting the merit in that case? Because he has already, if you agree to the second scenario, that while you are making the donation, the arahant that passed away, you be not aware of it. So in this case also, he should be getting a merit. He should be getting a merit because he had the perception of living about the recipient. So these are the counter arguments one can bring for that. But in the Theravada standpoint is very clear. The perception doesn't matter whether you believe he's alive or not, and the fact doesn't matter whether the person is really alive or not. What matters is, when you are making a donation, you are arousing a volition, you are producing a volition of giving up, of letting go the possession, you are letting go the possession of the gift that you had, and you are offering it to someone and dedicating it to someone. So the thing is, acceptance and usage has no whatsoever effect on the volition. It's already accumulated by your own intention of donating. So that's what the Mahathera is saying. The acceptance or non-acceptance and the consumption or non-consumption of the offering by the recipient is not a determining factor for the arising or non-arising of merit in the donor. Moreover, these factors do not cause any increase or decrease in the level of merit acquired by the donor. Merit arises within the person who performs the act. It is not something that comes from outside. Merit is not coming from outside, it's arising within the person. So when the thoughts of donation is happening, that's the merit is done. But it's not, now imagine now someone thinks that I'm making a donation while you are not making a donation. That doesn't amount as a real donation. The thing is, even though it's something internal, he has to make a sacrifice, a bodily or verbal attempt has to be there. Some kind of sacrifice, some kind of dedication has to be there. Some kind of true transferring of the possession of the gift has to be there. So it has to be something real. It's not just imagining that you are making an offering and producing such thoughts. No, it has to be like a person has to dedicate something. Some physical thing has to be dedicated. Or either if he's giving Dhammadana, he has to teach something. And using his verbal or physical gestures, either writing through or through expounding through speech, he has to deliver this. So there has to be something real going on. The Buddha's teachings, Chetanaham Bhikkave Kammam Vadami, means that the volition which arises in a person when performing an action is itself the wholesome or unwholesome kamma. So volition is what matters. Chetana is the real kamma. It's not the gift, it's neither the recipient, it's neither the actions of recipient, it's the chetana that arises in the donor's mind. Merit is the wholesome volition that arises in the donor at the moment of giving. Acceptance and consumption of the gift occurs afterward. Therefore, the merit of the offering is already established before the receiving or consuming happens. So that's very clear. I think we explained it clearly. Nothing special happens to the wholesome volition depending on whether the gift is used or not used by the recipient. This is a very interesting point. So whether the recipient uses or not, the merit would be the same. It's not going to change. There was a Buddhist sect called the Sarvastivadins. They held to the opinion that if my memory was correct, Sarvastivadins, one Buddhist school, at least one Buddhist school, I'm pretty much sure it was Sarvastivadins, they held to the idea that if the recipient is consuming the gift that is given, the donor's merit increases. It's a very interesting suggestion, interesting fundamental that they have in their Abhidhamma. I'll repeat again. According to the Theravada, if you're offering me a robe as a monk, as for a monk, after you have offered me, whether I use it or not, whether I give it back send it to the storeroom or give it to someone else, whatever it is, if I'm not utilizing it, if I'm not using it, like your merit doesn't increase. You're not getting a merit. You do get a merit, you do get the merit, but if I'm using it, if I'm utilizing it, if I'm using it for my comfort, or I'm meditating or using it for my spiritual purposes, your merit starts to increase. Your merit starts to increase. According to Theravada, no. When you have offered something to me, whether I use it or not, the merit would be the same. According to Theravada, it would be the same. According to other tradition is, if I'm using it, my merit increases. So Theravadian says, I think I made a mistake in the previous statement. Theravadian's idea is, if you are using, if someone is, whether someone uses or not, the merit would be the same. They are very clear on this fundamental. But for the others, like Sarvastivadins, if the receiver is using the merit, using the requisite, utilizing it, then the merit increases. The merit increases. So, and if he's destroying it, doesn't mean the merit would go down. Merit would remain as it is. But if you're utilizing it, it would increase. And when you look into this, I'll talk about, I'll have a very interesting discussion on this based on the time that we have. So I'll just explain what the Theravada point of view is. According to Theravada, it doesn't matter if you, after you have offered, whether the recipient uses it or not, it is not going to affect the merit of the donor. Similarly, nothing detrimental happens to the donor's merit for offering something to the Buddha simply because the Buddha does not consume it. If a donor maintains the same mental attitude when offering to the living Buddha and to the Buddha who has attained Parinibbana, then the resulting merit is equal as expressed in the teachings. Tittante nibbute chapi same chitte samampalang. Whether the Buddha is alive or has attained Parinibbana, the same mind brings same result. It's a very famous fundamental. And we discussed something against this. Against means like we clarified this fundamental in the last previous lecture. We said even though offering to a living Buddha and a Buddha who has attained Parinibbana are in the same category, then in the same category you have made a Buddha puja, but the merit, the level of merit should differ. What was the argument I brought? I brought two arguments for this. You can make the sacrifice, you can sacrifice your life thinking or wishing to be a Buddha to a living Buddha, and also in front of a Chaitya imagining that's the living Buddha. But in the two cases, the merit would come into fruition, becomes accomplished only when such a merit, a dedication is done to a living Buddha. Because that merit comes into completion and would result or would lead the person toward the Samma Sambuddhahood. He would make him destined to be a Samma Sambuddha only when the merit is done to a living Buddha at his presence, not at his distance even, at his presence. So that's why I said, making a donation from far away, one can easily argue. I'm not giving a exact statement on this because it's a very bold statement if you make, because a Mahabodhisattva making a sacrifice, if Sumedha had made the sacrifice while staying in Himavanta, in the Himalayas, while the Dipankara Buddha was in the city, would his donation come into accomplishment, and would it be destined to be the Buddha one day? It seems not. I'm not in a position to give an exact answer. In my opinion, seems not. So it shows that if the person is at your presence, the merit seems it's getting increased. So that's why paying respect to Mahacheti from far away and going there and paying respect. In that, if that fundamental makes sense, so if one can argue you are accumulating merit by going there. I'm not talking about that scenario. For example, you happen to be there for some reason. You were going somewhere else and you saw the Mahacheti. Okay, I'll pay respect to it while being at its presence. And you are doing the same merit, similar merit from your home. Is the merit different or the same? Seems like there is a difference. Seems like there's a difference. So the next point I brought is, now we offer to an arahant thinking that he has emerged from the Nirodha Samapatti, imagining a moment that he got emerged from Nirodha Samapatti, and we are making an offering with a pleasant mind. And at the same time, a person offering to an arahant who has just emerged from Nirodha Samapatti with a pleasant mind, he would, according to Dhamma, he is going to get results in this very life, for sure. That's how the Dhamma says. So, and we are obviously saying, we obviously know that making such a donation to a passed away arahant is not going to result in such a way. What does it mean? The presence and the absence of the person does make sense, does make an effect. It makes a difference. So, Tittante Nibbute Chapi, in our opinion, in my opinion, should be explained under, so the two arguments I brought are very powerful and very strong, and they should not be taken slightly. So therefore, because they are very important two fundamentals in the Theravada teachings, so this statement has to be interpreted. It seems like it has to be interpreted saying that yes, they are in the same category. Whether you are offering to the living Buddha or whether you are offering to a Parinibbutta Buddha who has already attained Parinibbana, they are in the same category, but within the category there is a difference. There seems to be a difference. Otherwise, a bodhisattva would be able to accomplish his abhinihara kusala, making the sacrifice to Mahacheti or to relics of the Buddha. The commentary is very clear here on that point. No, it cannot happen. It has to take place in front of a Buddha. The argument given is that he has to make the prophecy. Yes, he will make the prophecy, but he become destined not after the prophecy, before the prophecy. So before the prophecy, it's taking place. So what seems like, the explanation seems like there is a deficiency of the merit. There's the deficiency of the merit when you are making the offering to the relics rather than offering to a living Buddha. So anyway, so we talked about this statement in depth. If someone is new to the lectures or if someone has forgotten, I ask you to refer to that, which is in the YouTube. And then very nice argument is brought here by the Mahathera. A very nice argument is brought here. This is about Queen Mahapajapati's offering to the Buddha. So when the Buddha visited Kapilavatthu after his enlightenment, when Buddha entered into the palace, Mahapajapati was looking at his son's body and figure, and she was very happy to see, because now as a Buddha, his mind is pure from defilements, unlike the Bodhisattva. So he was more radiant and more attractive than his young age, his age with defilements. Obviously, he had defilements. He was enjoying sensual pleasures to a very maximum level. So then she felt, it's nice that I make a robe, or at least 2 robes, to my son and offer it. And she made it by herself. She brought the workers, and she also joined there. It was not only sieved; it was made. It was produced by with the threads and all this stuff, the manufacturing procedure. I forgot the term for that. So then she joined it. She joined the work, and she produced 2 robes, and she informed the king Suddhodana that she's going to offer it to Buddha, and Suddhodana arranged a very nice procession for her to go there, and then she went to the Nigrodharama and she offered it to the Buddha. Recently I had the opportunity to visit Nepal for an ordination for 4 days. That's why we didn't have that Abhidhamma lesson also. So there I visited Nigrodharama, and at the Nigrodharama there is a place where the monuments are built later, for sure. The buildings are built later. So there is a place indicating where Mahapajapati offered the robe to the Buddha. It was a very heart-touching moment. You feel that when you think that it happened, it took place here, and there's a slight sculpture, not maybe a slab. It's been driven there, caved there, engraved. So while the Buddha Pajapati is making the offering to the Buddha, so I was lucky to visit there few weeks last week. So this when these 2 robes were offered to the Buddha, what happened was Buddha rejected it. When Pajapati was making the offering, please accept this, and the commentary says she made the offering. Buddha rejected it. Buddha said, offer it to Sangha. Offer it to Sangha. And he said, when you offer it to Sangha, you had to have already offered it to me and also to the Sangha, to the both. So that was his suggestion. Mamancheva pujito hoti, Sangho cheva pujito mamancheva. So both me and the Sangha, both are offered when you make the offering to the Sangha. So some believe that this was said because Buddha also belongs to the Sangha, which is not accepted in the Theravada tradition. They say, no, Buddha is a different person, Sangha is different. Obviously, it has to be different because we have three refutes, Buddha and is one, Sangha is one. Buddha is neither included in the Sangha. He is the master, he is the founder, he is the teacher, he is the leading figure. Sangha are the disciples. So Buddha should not be included in the Sangha by any means. That's clear. There is offering made to the Sangha led by the Buddha, but still the Buddha is prominent. Buddha is different from the Sangha. There are many factors to say that. I'm not going into that detail. Then the next argument is, the next point is, the Theravada explanation is, Buddha made it sure that she made two offerings. What was the reason? While she's making the offering, she has already dedicated to the Buddha. She's completely offered it to the Buddha. Then the Buddha rejected it. Buddha rejected it. Then he said, offer this too. So it seems like it has been already offered, and she was his mother, stepmother, and also aunt. And he made that same offering to be offered to the Sangha again through her mother. So it seems Buddha rejected. So she had made the offering, he rejected it, and he didn't take the ownership. So it was transferred back to her, the offering. The ownership was transferred back to her. That's how I interpret this. Like, if you, commentary was very clear. What commentary says is, Buddha wanted her to have two donations. Right? So if you scrutinize this, because through the donation, because commentary says the donation had already taken place. Because when she said, I'm offering this to you, the sutta says, please accept. That's how the Pajapati says, but the commentary says the offering was done. So it means that the ownership had been transferred to one sense, to some extent. So the Buddha has rejected it. So then it becomes something that doesn't belong to anyone, or it's that she believes now Buddha hasn't accepted it, so it still belongs to her, or Buddha had given it back to her, whatever, right? Whatever. So seems when he rejected, the ownership was there's a slight discussion need to have a discussion on what happened to that ownership. Anyway, it's back to her. That's how we have to interpret in Theravada tradition. It's with her. So now she is offering her robes again back to the Sangha. So she had two thoughts of offering, two volitions of offering. So that was the reason why Buddha directed her towards the offering of Sangha. And that was a special support or a support given to her mother, because normally when something is offered to the Buddha would not do that to other donors. Buddha would not do that to other donors. He would surely accept it for himself. And then he may send it to the Sangha. He can do that. And sometimes he does that. Sometimes he sends, it's commentary says, he sent some fruits to Kumara Kassapa when he got some fruits. And so on other occasions he would not do that, but for his stepmother, giving a special support to her for her liberation, to add more merits to her practice and the basket of paramis. Buddha rejected the offering and made her to do another offering to the Sangha. So it means with the same robes, she had made two offerings, to the Buddha and to the Sangha. So Buddha rejected it. So argument what the Mahathera is bringing is because offering to the Buddha is much greater than offering to the Sangha. There's no doubt about that, because you cannot compare Buddha, Sangha with the Buddha. Buddha is much greater in sense of offering. In the Velama Sutta, it says that offering to a Pacceka Buddha is more than offering to 100 arahants, and offering to a Buddha is more than offering to 100 Pacceka Buddhas. There's such a statement. But the Theravada interpretation is offering to the Buddha is unmatched with offering to the Sangha. So because he is a person who has accumulated all these qualities for 4 Asankhya years and 100,000 eons in the minimum level, and he has gained all these qualities, and he is a supreme being, and we are all disciples. Even Sariputta is compared very low compared to the Buddha. So even offering to the whole Sangha would not amount of a Buddha puja. Therefore, the argument is, when we base our argument on that fundamental, if the Buddha didn't accept it, if the acceptance and usage has some effect on the volition, if acceptance and usage has some effect on the volition, by rejecting the donation given to the Buddha by Pajapati, he is doing great harm to Pajapati, because offering to the Buddha is the param of foremost merit one can accumulate, rather than offering to the Sangha. So he is directing her merit toward the Sangha, because according to that theory, when he has not accepted, when he is not using it, the merit was not gained. Merit was not. So that is the one type of argument that people bring. If the requisite is of no use to the recipient, are you getting a merit? So shouldn't we apply this to the Pajapati's case? Because the robe was offered to the Buddha, it was no use for the Buddha, and Buddha didn't accept it. So she is not getting the merit in that sense. And she is getting the merit because she offered it to the Sangha. And she is getting the merit for offering to the Sangha. So offering to the Sangha is a lower merit compared to offering to the Buddha. So then Buddha is not supporting Mahapajapati, his stepmother. Instead, he is degrading the merit that she was planning to do. And that was a donation that she prepared specially for her son. So one can interpret this in many ways in order to remove the attachment and so forth. You can start interpreting it because you have the will to do that. You have the freedom to do that. But I'm talking specifically based on the fundamentals and as it has been explained in the Theravada teachings. So the argument is, so he would not do that to decrease the merit of Mahapajapati if the accepting and using is a factor for this merit to increase or to be powerful or to gain, at least in the first sense. In the first place, he would surely accept it and even use it rather than directing it to the Sangha. The explanation is, since acceptance and using has no whatsoever effect on the merit, when Pajapati is donating it, she has already donated it to the Buddha. She had already got the merit. Now, the ownership has been transferred, it's back to Pajapati, and she is offering it back to the Sangha. So she is making two merits out of the same gift. Because Buddha didn't accept it, and she had the opportunity to offer it to someone else. I know this seems a little bit strange when you look into this with the objective mindset. That is how the Theravadins explain this explanation. That is how the commentaries say this. So that's what the Tamahatera's argument is also, based on that. When Queen Mahapajapati offered a pair of robes to the Buddha, he declined the offering and instructed her to offer it to the Sangha. Instead, Sanghe Gotami Dehi Sanghe Dinne Ahancheva Pujito Bhavisami Sangocha. Would the Buddha who perfected the paramis for over 4 asankheyas and 100,000 eons, out of boundless compassion for all beings, do anything to harm the merit of his own stepmother? Indeed not, certainly not. At the moment Queen Pajapati offered the robes to the Buddha, she had already acquired the merit of giving. The Buddha's refusal did not diminish that merit because she had already accumulated it. When she later offered the robes to the Sangha, she obtained additional merit for that offering as well. The Buddha declined the original offering precisely so she would gain that extra merit of giving to the Sangha in addition to the Buddha. And it was that's the privilege she had, being the mother or the who took care of the Bodhisattva while he was young. Thus, the Buddha refused his mother's offering, knowing that her merit would remain unharmed, regardless of whether the robes were accepted or consumed. Based on this, one must understand that pious donors who make offerings to the Buddha who has attained parinibbana still gain full merit even though there is no acceptance or consumption by the Buddha. So then he concludes the answer, to gain equal merit to that of offering to the living Buddha, one should prepare the offering in a manner worthy of the living Buddha and present it with the same level of respect and reverence. So, therefore, the answer is yes, even though you are offering to a Buddha who had passed away, you are still getting the merit of offering to a living Buddha. So, that's the explanation here. So, in my opinion, should not be the same level, but it is in the same category. It's in the same category. So now I'm not going to scrutinize this incident, like what happened to the real ownership and so forth, right? So answer is very clear. She had already got the merit, and she is giving it back again to the Sangha. Now, sometimes it happens like when we are offering certain things to the monks, we sometimes may refuse it. We may refuse it. Have you got the merit already? Because when you read the text in the Dakkina Vibhanga Sutta, what Gautami is saying, she's asking Buddha to accept this. That's what she's saying. The obvious question that arises to a person who reads the sutta itself, did her merit was complete by that gesture? Because if you go to the sutta itself, okay, Dakkina Vibhanga Sutta, Majjhima Nikaya, Paripannasa, the sutta goes as, Atako Mahapajapati Gautami, Navan Dussayugang Ada, Yena Bhagavate Nupasankami, she approached the Buddha, Upasankamitva, Bhagavantang Abhivaditva, Ekamantan Nisidi, she paid respect to the Buddha and sat beside. Nisinna ko Mahapajapati Gautami, Bhagavantang Etadavocha. She said it to the Buddha, Blessed One. Idam me bante navan dusyugam Bhagavantang uddhisa samang katang samang vaitang. I made this pair of robes to you by myself. It's a woven one. It's a woven one. So, tamme Bhagava bante Bhagava patiganhatu anukampang. May the Blessed One accept this. That's what she's saying. In most of the cases, we would say, please accept this. And sometimes when we reject and we don't consider that was offered, we would feel like I couldn't make the offering. So, in most of the cases, we would feel as when someone is offering, like saying this to someone, may you accept this. So, is it the donation complete? Because even our mind, for example, if I'm giving, okay, Bhante, I'm offering this to you, right? So, please accept this. If he doesn't accept it, would we consider the donation was done? In my opinion, I don't consider the donation was done. That's how my personal experience. Like if I made, okay, it's already offered to you. It's already offered to you. I say if it's already offered to you, then the donation is done. It's clear. If I say, like, may you accept this? That's what Kojab Gautami is saying. May you accept this? In that case, most of us would feel the donation was not done. It would happen when he's accepting, and that's the moment he shows the gesture. Then at them, okay, I'm offering this. So there's some kind of a, in my opinion, a little bit of ambiguity in this explanation. But anyway, maybe she had that. Even though she said it, the commentators say might have thought or interpret that she had already said it. May you accept it with the mindset it's already been offered. I'm offering it. Or maybe she had the feeling like, okay, I'm offering it to you. So that would also, with that statement would also amount to donation, because I'm offering. It's already done then. When I say it's offering, I'm offering it, it's done. The next second it's done. So anyway, so someone, for the ones who are interested in reading the sutta, otherwise would argue that was the offering completed in that sense? When you read the sentence, it seems like one would feel that the offering was not completed, but the commentators say the offering was completed. So that's not the argument that I'm going to bring. Now, this is the point. Now, when the donation is done, whether you accept or whether you use it, nothing is going to happen to one's donation. Then, For the donation, this seems okay because the definition itself of the very definition of donation means donating something. Donating means giving up the ownership, dedicating it to someone. It's something that has to be done solely from the donor side. Donating means giving up the ownership and dedicating, or giving up the ownership and dedicating it to someone, giving its possession to someone. So you can use it as you like. That's the gesture, that's the understanding of a donation. That's the very meaning of a donation. Now think about killing. Panatipata. Killing. There are 5 factors for killing. In order for killing to be accomplished or complete, to be a kammapata, there have to be 5 factors. The thing which is being killed has to be a living being, otherwise you cannot kill. Cannot kill a tree, because biologically you can kill a tree. Conventionally you can kill a tree. In terms of Dhamma, you cannot kill a tree because trees are non-living, because they are not produced by the karma. Then you cannot kill a person, anything in the computer game while fighting, or in a war game, because it doesn't have a living. You cannot kill a computer in that sense. Only it has to be a living being. Then the one who is killing, the killer, should have the perception that this being who will be killed, or whom I'm killing is a living being, having the perception of living being. This is something lacking in the dana. In the dana's case, you don't need to believe that the person is alive. You don't have the perception of person is alive. One can bring the argument and bring a new definition for dana, but if you are explaining this based on the Theravada point of view, no, there's no such a perception. Then in the killing, yes, there's a perception that the person knowing that person is living, the being is living. Then there should be an intention of killing, the killing intention. Then the strategy, you have to use a strategy way to employ a certain strategy, verbally or physically. Pure mentally, you cannot do killing. It can go to the level even uttering mantras, doing black magic and killing someone. Still, it's counted as killing. Then there should be a strategy based on that intention, and that strategy should be driven by that intention. Then the being has to die. These are the 5 factors. It has to be a living being. I'm not going to write it actually. The living being should be a living being, and the killer should know it's living, and there should be an intention of killing, and there has to be a strategy, or there has to be verbal or physical activities driven by that intention, and the living being has to die. These are the 5 things. Has to die. Now, the important point is, a very important point, based on, this is another very important fundamental, which I'm a little bit reluctant to accept in the Theravada doctrine, because I'll tell you why it is. When this killing thing is happening, in order to complete the killing, the being has to die. The being is not dead. Killing is not complete. What is the problem emerging from this statement? We all know when we shoot at someone or when we hit someone, death happens at least after a few seconds, or it may take few hours, or it may take few days, and sometimes it may take few months through injury. Now, the actual action, the Chetanaham Bhikkhave Kamma, the Kamma is the Chetana. Yes, we have to respect this fundamental. The killer, Chetana, it's a very interesting discussion. Please give your attention very thoroughly. Chetana to kill, killing Chetana. Strategy is employed, and it's the victim. And imagine the death happens after some time. maybe few days. While the death is taking place, now this is the Theravada argument. While the death is taking place, the killer must maybe sleeping, or he may be doing a donation. He may be offering something to the temple. Okay, he hit an animal to a rat, and rat suddenly somehow escaped, but he was severely injured. And then I went to the temple and making offering of Buddha Puja. While my mind is wholesome, the killer's mind is wholesome, the rat dies. The question that arises, when is he accumulating the merit? When is he accumulating the merit? Is it when the victim dies at that moment, or while the strategy was employed, or while the strike was given, or when he hit the victim? Because Chetana occurred at that moment. While the death is, and maybe the killer is regretting, maybe killer is trying to help the victim, maybe he is meditating, whatever it is, okay. So when is he accumulating the demerit? When his akusala was done? According to Theravada explanation, it's done. It's completely done, not partially. That's the point here. It's completely done when the strategy was employed at this moment. Kamma was done when the striking was given. The striking was given. The strike was given. This is the point. If the victim is surely going to die, if the victim is surely going to, is destined to die, the kamma is accumulated while the person was hit. Seems like the commentators were on the opinion there are only two options. Either the victim may die or may not die. We can bring another scenario. At this moment, victim's death is not certain, but later on, due to some factors, it became certain. This third possibility is not discussed. If it dies, it means he was destined to die even at the moment of the striking. If he's not dying, he was destined not to die. Sometimes we can have a scenario. He was going to die, he was about to die, but some intervention came and he escaped, he survived. This is also not being discussed. Because in that case, it's a complex situation. Now, he's going to die, surely going to die. It was a fatal blow. So I must have accumulated the karma. But somehow intervened and saved him. So is my karma going back or is removed? That's the problem. And then I gave a fatal blow. He could have been saved, but for some other reason, the rescue team didn't come or whatever happened, and then he died. So when am I going to get in the karma? So according to the Theravada explanation, Chetana arose while the striking happened, so karma was accumulated. In its full scale, in its full-fledged form, karma was accumulated while the striking was given. Regardless of the moment of death, even it happens few years after, the person has accumulated the karma while he gave the striking. This is applicable to monkhood as well. This is mentioned in the third parajika because killing a human is a parajika offense. One loses monkhood by killing a human. Now imagine I gave a fatal blow with the intention of killing the human. I gave a blow and he is in the hospital, unconscious, still struggling. Now blood is in the brain and he's still struggling. He's a coma and he dies after 4 years. When am I becoming parajika? When am I becoming parajika? Would I become parajika when he dies? Or am I becoming parajika when I gave the strike? Explanation is, it's a very difficult topic to discuss. Explanation is, I became Parajika. If he is going to die, even after 4 years, I became Parajika. I lost my monkhood. I loses my monkhood when I gave the strike. And if I happen to die before these 4 years, for example, I died after 2 years, and I die as a Parajika monk. Now put this into change the scenario and put the mother, a monk is killing his mother, whatever reason, hitting his mother, trying to kill, and she dies after 4 years. And the monk dies after 2 years. She had not died yet, but she's about to die. In that scenario, this monk or the person, whoever is dying, having committed matricide. He's a matricide. He has killed his mother and he'll be born in the Avicii. The reason is, the argument here is, if you are saying the actual karma is done at the moment of death, at that moment, maybe the person is with a wholesome mind. Why? Maybe he was sleeping. So, is he committing murder or killing while sleeping? Is against the teachings, right? The Chetana itself is the karma. At that moment, he didn't have a Chetana of killing. So, karma has to be accumulated, has to be done at the moment. There's no argument in it. No one can argue against that if someone is respecting the Buddhist fundamentals. This is the moment karma was accumulated. Was it accumulated? The problem is, was it accumulated in its full form at that moment? Now, the thing is getting more complex. Sometimes there are various modes of killing. Someone can kill by digging a pit or making a trap. So, in that scenario, when is he getting the karma? Now, imagine someone set a trap in the forest to kill an animal, or maybe to kill a man, kill a human. He's making a trap, and he goes home, and he's sleeping. He's enjoying with his friends. Maybe he's meditating or doing some merit. Listen to Dhamma talk. People, hunters also can listen to Dhamma talk and do merits, right? There are many stories of that kind. And while he is listening to Dhamma, in the forest, some animal got trapped and died. When did he accumulate the karma? According to the fundamentals, it has to be the moment he made the trap. It had to be the moment he dug the pit. The questions are there. Did he commit while he hit the first strike or digging, or when it was completed? Okay, I'm not going into that details. Okay, it can get very complicated. So anyway, when he has finished the pit, when he has finished the trap, yes, his intention was to kill someone. That is the Chetana. That is the moment the Chetana arose. We cannot argue against that, because that is the strategy. Strategy was to set a trap. And killing happened, death happened after some time. So karma has to be accumulated while the trap was made. Now, think about this scenario. Someone is making a trap or making a pit. Imagine, may anyone die who comes here. It doesn't matter to me. Or maybe any arahant would come here will die. Any samana would die. Okay, any monks. Then, maybe after, because pits can remain for years, after 200 years, 500 years, arahant walks on that path and falls and dies. It happens after 500 years. And that arahant was not born when the trap was made. The person has dug it with the intention of killing any samana, any human, any arahant, whoever. Okay, the perception was clear. even he had the intention of killing any animal, any living being, the karma would still become anantariya. That's clear. It's very clearly mentioned by the Buddha. So now what happens is, according to this theory, the person has accumulated the karma while he has dug the pit. Even it happens, now this is the moment, the time scale, this is the time. Digging the pit, digging happens at this moment. Death happens after 500 years. And it's an arahant. So this person who dug the pit dies maybe after 50 years, and he's going to the Avici for killing an arahant. Because it's just because you may hit an arahant and he may die in 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, maybe in 50 years. Because when it comes to the pits, yes, because the strategy was made, anyone could fall into it. The time doesn't matter whether it was 1 year, 2 years, 3 years after, because it was a permanent trap that was made to kill anyone, and unfortunately no one fell into it, and arahant fell after 500 years. And who is responsible for this karma? It's the man who digged the pit, and he has killed the arahant. He will be killing an arahant, whatever term you use. According to the Theravada fundamentals, if you define this, according to Theravada fundamentals, it's very clearly mentioned. Even the arahant dies after your death. The person is dying as an arahant killer, as a matricide. Even the mother dies after his death. A monk dies as a parajika monk, if the death happens afterwards. What does this mean? This leads to a very interesting scenario. If this person, if the Theravada fundamental is accurate in this regard, if this person is going to Avici, it has to go to Avici because of this karma. What does it mean? This arahant's death was predetermined. Why he went to Avici? Because otherwise, if an arahant is not dying, it's really unfair, right? How could you go to the Avici of killing an arahant when the arahant will not be killed? If you apply it to the Theravada fundamental, I'm talking about the Theravada fundamentals. That's why I said I do not prefer this actually. What happens is, this is an implicit, in my opinion, it's an implicit expression of doctrine of determinism. It's just a matter of extending the hypothetical thought experiment. Just extend it for 1,000 years, because it would happen after few moments. Yeah, it's clear. You shoot someone, he dies after few moments, few seconds. No one would argue that. Yes, then it happened, and obviously murder was done. And if someone asks when did the murder occurred, while shooting, that's the karma. And no one is going to examine it thoroughly. But imagine now, if this happened after few years, after death happens after few years, and if the murderer dies before the death, has he already accumulated the karma in a full-fledged scale? Yes, karma was done, but has he done the karma? If that was his father, is he a patricide? Is he patricide? Is he going to the Avici for that? Is the father, while the father is still alive in the hospital? And then comes the traps. Traps are fixed strategies. Tavarapa yoga. It's clear. The karma has to be the preparation of the trap. And the death can happen after some time. Now just extend the time. 500 years, 1,000 years. Anyone who falls into the trap, I'm getting the karma. That's how the Theravada is explained. If you have dug a pit, if 100 people fall into that and dies, It's my karma. And that karma was accumulated in the full-fledged form while the pit was dug. Not when the people died, not when the people fell into it and when they died. And now imagine that someone dies after 500 years. He's supposed to die or happens to die. If he is going to die, I have already accumulated. So what does it mean? If I am accumulating, now imagine this is an arahant, I'm committing anantariya karma and I'm supposed to go to the anantariya hell. So what does it mean? That arahant's fall and death is destined already, has been destined. So this shows, this statement opens the path, in my opinion, is an implicit, not explicitly, implicit expression of determinism in this regard. How do we get out of this? Is Buddhism determinism? Is Buddhism advocating determinism? My personal opinion is no. Otherwise, all this doesn't make any sense. There are many, I can argue for that in many ways based on the literature itself. And none of us would prefer to go into a deterministic doctrine. I know that, because it means otherwise our next destination is already fixed. Whatever you do, you are sure to go to that realm. You cannot change it. That's determinism. That's called hard determinism. Things are either determined, things are either random, or things can be changed based on the will. So what we believe in Buddhism, in most of us believe in our lives, whether you are a Buddhist or not, even the ones who believe in God-centric religions would not think that everything is determined. Even the God has the divine foreknowledge, they would still act in a way that future is not determined or destined. Because if everything is destined, life doesn't have a purpose, right? But this statement, this slight statement saying that karma was accumulated while the killing or the shooting was done, not at the moment of the death. It's not just saying he accumulated the karma, it's saying the full-fledged karma was accumulated while the shooting was done. It's an implicit expression of determinism. If you extend this theory, and it's just a matter of thinking broadly. It's not very difficult to grab this point. Because if 500 people are supposed to fall into it after 1,000 years, he has already accumulated killing. 100 people falls in 5,000 years. He has already accumulated killing of 100 people when the pit was dug. Isn't this expression of determinism? It seems. It's very difficult to argue against that. So what would be the way out? What would be the way out? The only way out is, because you have to accept that Chetana was accumulated while it was done. Then otherwise we are talking out of Buddhism. You don't need to discuss anything. Then we are just violating the fundamentals. So karma was accumulated. Some level of karma was accumulated. The only way out, as I see, the karma energy or the force was accumulated. Then it become fixed, or it become full-fledged at the moment of death. So even while I'm sleeping, karma was done. It became a karma patha, or it became a full-fledged karma when the person is dying. At the moment his Chitta occurs, that's the moment he's fixed. He has done the karma. In this regard, if the person dies before the death of that person, he's dying without karma being a karma patha. Now, the killer is in another life. Would that karma become karma patha when the person is dying in the previous life? Now, for example, this is the killer. This is a very complex story. Killer, and Dit is the victim. And victim is dying after some years, but the killer dies before him. And killer is born in a new life. This karma was accumulated. Karma power is there. Karma power is there. So when the victim is dying, did this karma become a full-fledged karma? Seems not. Because why? In this scenario, but this is a very personal explanation. This is not, I'm not talking about Theravada here. I'm just giving an opinion here, a way out of determinism. This is not Theravada, I have to express that. Theravada is this. If you want to get out, I personally believe it's aligned to determinism. It's not aligned, I think it is determinism, in my personal opinion. So in order to get out of this commentarial explanation, the Buddha's statement in the Parajika Pali was slightly different, but this is how the commentaries explain that, because I'm sticking to Theravada, so I have to take the Theravada explanation, commentarial explanation as the Theravada explanation. The Buddha's statement can be interpreted in both the ways, that the karma or the Parajika happens when the person dies in this way. Okay, so I'm not touching it, I'm just saying this is my personal explanation of this thing. So then this, if now the killer is in a new life, the death happens while he's in the new life. Now karma has already accumulated. Does this karma become full-fledged when the victim dies? Seems not. Why is that? If this victim was the mother, dying of his mother means karma becoming full-fledged, means it's becoming an anantariya karma. It's becoming anantariya karma. So anantariya karma was, so he's committing anantariya, he's getting anantariya karma in the next life. It seems not very impractical. So it seems like, according to this theory, if the person dies before that, this karma doesn't come into a full-fledged nature. So it's a new life, but the karma can be some increasing or decreasing of the karma, but it doesn't become a full-fledged karma, because only the karmas that were done in that specific life, it has to happen within that specific life. So this is a very, very fragile theory, I know that, but in this case you can get out of determinism, because even though arahant falls 500 years later, arahant may fall or may not fall. That's the point here, because it's not determined already. May fall or may not fall. So as long as it didn't happen during his lifetime, he is not committing any anantariya. He may be still continuing. His karma may increase or decrease to some level because of that death, but it's not going to make him a arahant killer and make him destined to be born in the Avicii. Why is that? Because this thing, a fall of an arahant to anyone after 500 years, may happen or may not happen. May happen or may not happen. So someone shoots at someone, still it's not determined whether he will die or not. Interventions can happen. He may be saved, but I have still accumulated, the person has accumulated karma. It's not full-fledged. It's still pending. Pending means it hasn't come to the Kamapata level yet. If for some reason we are able to save him, then it remains in his karma level. But for whatever reason, unfortunately, if the person dies, then this turns to be a Kamapata. Then there's a practical thing here. Practical. Now imagine I, as a monk, give a fatal blow to another person, a human, to kill, and he's in a coma state, or he's in a difficult state. Seems he may die or may not die. Both the chances are there. Still going on for 3 years. How are the monks going to deal with me? Because according to the Theravada commentary, if he is going to die even after 5 years, I have already become a Parajika monk. So for the coming 5 years, because I'm also not certain whether he will die, because we don't have divine foreknowledge. We don't have the knowledge in seeing the future. So what is the decision? How the Sangha is going to decide on me? Am I a Parajika monk? Am I going to, should I disrobe? Then some would say, go and meditate and think. Oh, I don't think those are very practical stuff. Because we have to have an exact statement, exact decision. Because is it going to happen? So does it mean that when I meditate, if my meditation grows, that person is not surely not going to die? Can we come to such a statement? And that is going to be a huge type of theory it would be. Because if you are getting out of determinism, he may die or may not die. But according to the commentaries, the possibilities are there. In the commentaries, no, there's no possibility. Either he will die or either he will not die. It's not that he may or may not. Even if he is certain to die or not, how the other monks are deciding on me, it's a practical issue. Would the Buddha put us into such a situation that the Sangha cannot decide on these things and the person himself is in a big dilemma here? According to this theory, karma was done and he becomes parajika when the person dies. Even though while I was doing something, then there's a very interesting thing coming on here. Would I, during this period, if I become a noble person, if I attain some attainment, according to this theory, he is capable of attaining such theory. So, for example, if I become a Sotapanna, because my karma was not full-fledged, imagine if I become a Sotapanna, and because of the indeterministic nature of the life, if that person dies due to some other lack of medicines or something, due to my fatal blow, he's dying. In that scenario, but what I'm advocating is a big issue here, because if I became a Sotapanna on the process, and if the person dies as a Sotapanna, I'm becoming Parajika, which is also a huge issue in the Theravada fundamentals. If we take it as a very serious issue, we have to align with determinism. If we align with determinism, that is, in my opinion, would shatter the entire Buddhism. So this statement mentioned in the Theravada doctrine puts the doctrine into a sort of a challenge, I feel. Monks, people don't talk about this much. Some are not aware such a underlying theory is going on that statement. People don't scrutinize things in such a level. In my opinion, this is a huge issue. Then what happened? Then what about the Sarvastivadian's opinion? Sarvastivadian's opinion is, when someone has offered me a robe, when I'm using it, my merit increases, his merit increases. In the same way, if I'm applying it, if I'm using the same analogy into it, I don't know whether this was explained for killing in their doctrine. Anyway, if we apply this analogy and explain killing, I'm not saying that it's mentioned in Sarvastivada, but if we apply this analogy and say, okay, someone here hits me, or a killer hits another person, tries to kill another person, karma was accumulated. When he dies, this karma becomes full-fledged. In the same way, how his merit increases while I'm using the property requisite. And this may be in support with the statement of the Buddha saying, if you offer gardens, if you offer parks to the public or to the Sangha or to someone, you get merit day and night. Your merit increases. Punyam pavaddhati. Merit increases day and night. Why is that? Whenever they are using that, whenever they are utilizing those properties, those gardens, my merit is increasing even while I'm at sleep. But the Theravadins interpret this, no. The merit increases only when you think about it. Only when you think about it. And the question comes, now, if such a person dies and is born in another realm, is his merit still increasing? You can just keep on arguing. Maybe increasing or maybe not. Okay, that's a different case. Because what matters to us is this life, in this life. So the statement given by the Buddha saying the merit increases day and night, seems in line with the Sarvastivadian statement. But if it is the case, what the Chamdavimala Mahathera is saying is fully based on Theravada doctrine. So utilizing or acceptance and the utilizing or usage doesn't increase or decrease the merit, but according to this statement, it increases. It increases. So if it increases, it means a fatal blow was given, the karma can become full-fledged only when the person is dying. Even the killer is at sleep at that moment. So one may be confused why I'm talking about this, because that is the only way it seems that you can get out determinism. Otherwise, if the karma was full-fledged at this moment, if the death happens maybe at a later stage, the death was already determined, but the problem comes with the Thavara Prayoga, that is fixed traps or digging a pit to kill humans. If the death happens after 1,000 years, still you have accumulated the full-fledged karma. That means what is going to happen after 1,000 years was already determined by now. So in order to get out of that determination, we have to say, when the incident happens, karma increases, decreases. When the incident happens, karma gets strengthened or become full-fledged. So how can we support that? The Sarvastivadians have a suggestion for that. And the Buddha's statement saying that merits done by offering parks, roads and so forth would increase day and night. Day and night. Theravadians say only when you contemplate on it. No. It doesn't need to be contemplated. It increases day and night whenever they are using. Isn't that the common belief that we have? We normally say when you are using it, he's getting merit. Buddha says, when a requisite is offered to a monk, when he is using it, the merit increases. Theravadians say, when the donor is contemplating. Sarvastivadians would say, no. Whenever I'm using it, a slight change happens in his merit. Then the question comes, would it get low? Or because now there's another supporting factor for this. That's what I'm saying. There are various supporting factors. I'll just conclude because the time is up now. I know it's an interesting topic. Now, if someone offers me a lunch, I have to do a reflection on consuming this. And that reflection can be done at any stage of the day. And the offering was done. If I eat it, even though I'm a virtuous person, if I eat it without reflection, enjoying the meal, I have the right to enjoy the meal, but if I enjoy the meal, I fall into the usage of inner paribhoga, means I am not using it wisely. What the commentators say? You are not fulfilling the donor's requirement, because it's one way of explanation is he's offering it to a monk. As a monk, I'm supposed to lessen my defilements. So if I reflect on the food that I'm eating, I'm lessening my defilements, and it is compatible with the donor's intention. Another explanation is his donation would be fruitful if I eat it without defilements. So isn't it that according to the previous statement, that was the explanation of Theravadians, what the Mahathera has been explaining, isn't it that the donation was complete while he made the donation? Whether I'm eating it with reflection or not doesn't make any sense, doesn't make any difference. So why is it that reflection thing has been mentioned? Why it is mentioned that we are supposed to make the donation fruitful by reflecting? And that reflection can be done at any stage of the day. Even I have finished it, before night I can do the reflection. Still I'm okay in that sense. So isn't it that with my reflection, his donation is getting fruitful? So these are the points that we need to consider in this. The final argument for this is, in Vinaya, we have a very nice explanation on whether to whom the ownership is belonging. For example, I give this thing, saying to a messenger, saying that I give this to Venerable Tissa. So on the way, the messenger monk thinks, okay, I would like to take it. Not with stealing, but out of trust to us, because both of them are friends. So if I gave this to the messenger monk, saying that give this to Tissa, to whom the messenger must have trust in taking. Because if you want to take something, you have to trust that person. Only then it's a valid taking. So in that scenario, he has to trust me, because it's not still given, even though I say give it to Tissa. In the other case, if I say it's already given to Tissa, please give it. It's already given to Tissa. On this scenario, the messenger has to trust Venerable Tissa if he's going to take it, not me, because it's already given. In the first scenario, I'm telling, give it to Tissa. So he's on the way, he has to trust me. But now, imagine if this was a donation, it's a valuable gift. Imagine it was a very valuable requisite that I'm giving, I'm getting great merit. The question is, when am I getting the merit? Am I getting the merit while he's offering it to Tissa? No, maybe I was sleeping at that time. I'm not having any chetana at that time. My merit was accumulated while it was given. So, in that case, if I say give it to Tissa, why is he supposed to keep trust on me if the donation is already done? Because according to Theravada teachings, because while it is being offered, maybe I was doing some akusala or doing something wrong or I was sleeping. Surely I'm not getting any merit at that time. So obviously I have done the merit at this moment, but the dana, if the dana was complete at this moment, if dana was done at this moment, complete at this moment, why is when this messenger is supposed to keep trust on me? Because dana means is the ownership has already been transferred. So in that scenario, he must be keeping the trust on both the occasions on that person, because it's donated already. But Vinaya says you have to keep in the first scenario, the person has to keep trust on me. So it seems it's not full-fledged yet. The dana was not complete. Even though I had the dana chetana, only when he is accepting, it's given to him, then the dana is complete. One can argue in that way. But this is not Theravada. This is just, I'm building a different theory on this. So therefore, with all these suggestions, so if you think about it in that shed of in the light of shedding on that light on the light of that scenario, when Pajapati was making the offering to the Buddha, did the merit was completed? Still one can argue, he already gave it. So the merit was completed. So he didn't accept it. So had he used that, then the merit would have increased according to this theory what I'm suggesting. But that's not what the Theravada says. But just, I don't know whether you got confused with this explanation. But what I was saying is very, according to Theravada explanation, what the Mahathera is saying, when you offer to whether to a living Buddha or to a Buddha who had already parinibbana, the merit would be the same. The reason is consumption, acceptance is not affecting the merit. But what I'm suggesting is when you look into this with a bigger picture, especially with the killing and so forth, what's happening after the donation, what's happening after the strike was given does matter for the karma. Otherwise, in my opinion, we are aligning with the determinism. This is a statement in my opinion, it's a personal opinion, based on my studies and understanding of Theravada. This statement in the commentary is saying that the full-fledged karma is accumulated while the striking was given is an implicit statement of putting the entire Theravada doctrine into determinism. So, in this case, I prefer the Sarvastivadians' argument saying that karmas do increase and decrease of how based on the utilization of the requisite. So that would be the discussion. I know it's a debatable thing, and you are free to ask questions. I think time is already up, but yeah, if you have questions, you can raise them. Okay, then read the questions. Yeah.
Okay. The one is there a merit of the offering given to Lord Buddha while Buddha is alive, the same as the merit of the offering made after Buddha's parinirvana? Or
I think I have given.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is there a difference in the merits? So this is one, and there is another one. It's slightly different.
First question I have answered is in the previous lecture. A complete lecture was given on this. Upload kalati? Oh, it's already uploaded in the YouTube. In this opinion, the answer is yes, there's a difference. So I have given you the reasons for why it is different. You can watch that in the International Institute of Theravada channel, YouTube channel, in the English channel. There's a complete video on that.
And the other one is, is there a merit of the making an offering to the Buddha when he was alive? It's the same thing, I think. Offering to Buddha when he was alive, the same as offering to him now that he has attained parinibbana. I think it is different. This is what it says in the inbox.
Yeah, it's different. It seems it's different. I gave a whole lecture on this, saying that why it should be different based on 2 factors: the abhinihara kusala of the bodhisattva and offering something to arahant who had just emerged from the Nirodha Samavati.
Can I read the other one, Samasa? The second one? It says we have seen a large offerings being made for the Buddha, and we participate in them. For example, there are occasions we offering like 84,000 pujas, large quantities of meat-based food offerings, and so on are made, which exceed the consumption of a single individual. So our Blessed One lived in a very simple life. So it's such a large scale offering had been made while Lord Buddha was alive, and would Lord Buddha have approved of them? That's the question.
Even while he was alive, he got requisites that exceeded his requirement. That was obviously is very clear, and I don't think he would have used all the robes. Forget about the food. All the robes that he received, he would have not used them. And sometimes he sent his food and certain things to the sangha as well. So sometimes they do accept. For example, Venerable Ananda accepted 500 robes, being a Sotapanna. 500 robes offered by the harem of King Udena. And then Udena asked the question, why did you accept 500? You don't need 500. Then he said, no, they'll be utilized to the sangha accordingly. And he explained, and the king became very pleased by the answer. So therefore, obviously, it's not necessary to think that whether this would suffice the Buddha, and are we just going to now imagine like, okay, one plate, and even while you're offering to a monk, sometimes some foods get left over, right? So it doesn't mean that the whatever offered to the sangha is just a waste, because it's not that you are supposed to offer only the exact amount that the monk is going to consume. No. I know the question was like not about a small amount of leftovers, the huge consumptions, but it depends on the person. It depends on the person. So even the Buddha, if you offer the whole land to the Buddha, he may live in a certain area only. If you offer a huge meal to the Buddha, he might eat what he needs. So, but the offering was done. You can just make an offering and say, eat whatever you want. Sometimes we do such offerings to monks. You are giving a huge table of food and asking, okay, you can eat whatever you want. And we know in our minds that not the entire table would be utilized. So that's the philosophy behind that. So making big offerings doesn't violate or is not something done without any wisdom. That's sometimes we do normally make such offerings. So it's the receiver's decision to decide how much he is going to accept, because Buddha himself sometimes said sometimes he eats a lot, sometimes he eats a lot. So it's mentioned in the sutras that because some monks are eating lesser than him, obviously. So sometimes he eats less, sometimes he eats a lot. It depends on the day and the situation, the health, the condition of the body, and so forth. So therefore, if someone is making such a big offering, we cannot just say it's wrong because it's offered to the Buddha and it belongs to the Buddha, and he may distribute it to others. So we'll be having that question in future in a future lecture. What about the Mahathera has addressed this on this? What about huge offerings? Aren't they a waste in the premises of pagodas, stupas, and so forth? Like huge offerings, a huge amount of offering of candles, oil lamps, food offerings, are they a waste? So we'll see what is the opinion of Mahathera most probably in the next lecture or the lecture after the next.
So there's another question. Can I go first?
Yes. Go ahead.
After the parinirvana of the Lord Buddha, when we give offerings, our mind knows that the Buddha has attained parinirvana. But when we give offerings thinking that we are giving for the living Buddha, isn't this a form of a mental delusion? And can we offer, given such a deluded mind, as fruitful?
Venerable Ananda also did the same thing, according to the literature. Venerable Ananda did after his parinibbana for about 1 month, I think. He did all the duties to the Buddha that he used to do. And when, for example, yes, we know in our mind he's not there. For example, when we are paying respect to the Buddha, Mahacheti, for example, Ruwa Melisaya, Mahacheti, are we just thinking it's just a relic, or are we just thinking we are paying respect to the Buddha? So obvious thing, sometimes even our parents have passed away, we feel like still they are alive. So we consider their statues as themselves. So that's why we don't disrespect the Buddha statues. Why it is? Because it's representing the Buddha. So therefore, normally even while we are touching a Buddha statue, we just ask for permission and we just have that sense of respect. Why is that? We have that feeling that it's something alive. If he was there, that's how we would treat him in the same way. So that's not a delusion. It's a form of respect, I would feel. And delusion is about considering impermanent things as permanent and so forth. So if the Buddha was alive, and we are going to treat him like that, so in that case, even I myself think in a Buddha, when you see a Buddha statue, we consider it as the Buddha himself. That's how we earn our we pay our respect to it. So we are not just thinking it's just a statue, and we are just not treating it like we know in our mind it's a statue, and we try to get that feeling of sense of respect towards him. And more that sense comes, it's a greater merit. Otherwise, just paying respect to the Buddha statue doesn't make sense. Otherwise, because if we know it's just wood, we can argue it's just wood. Why are you paying respect to the statue itself? It's just a sign that that refers to the Buddha himself. Why is paying respect to the Buddha statue is a merit? We discussed about this few lectures ago. Because it in the end it is referring, we are referring to the actual Buddha who was alive. So then can't we pay respect to the Buddha who has passed away? Yes, obviously we can. We can think about him who lived in the past and we can pay respect. No one is going to argue about that. And we can just respect without a statue as well. What the statue is doing is it gives us a lively feeling. So then we have something that represents the Buddha. So that's not a sense, that's nothing to be discussed as something delusion or anything. It's something, it's a form of respect, and that's a form of consideration. In any religion we do that. In any religion, Jesus Christ, there are statues and they consider it, everyone knows it's not the Jesus Christ, it's made of clay, but they would think about the Christ through that statue. So statues are of such nature. So when we think in that way, obviously the mind comes into the level to an attitude that the Buddha is there. So it's and when we are paying respect, like when we are considering Buddhanusati, for instance, we are contemplating Buddhanusati, you feel as the Buddha is in your presence. You feel as the Buddha is in your presence. When you are practicing metta for someone, for example, you feel as he is in front, but he may be far away, in a far away distance, but still we feel that the person is in front of you. So these are not delusions. Just thinking or imagining a person as living or and dealing with it is not a hallucination, because hallucinations are if you still keep on believing that he's alive and he's completely lost about it. For instance, if he completely believes that he's the real Buddha and the Buddha is alive, then it is a hallucination, as it happened in the Beautiful Mind, in the film Beautiful Mind, the great mathematician who won the Nobel Prize, and he was having all this hallucination, and he was talking with people who were not really existing. According to Dhamma perspective, we don't know whether he was talking to real non-humans, but anyway, there's a sickness we recognize in Western medicine that some people do associate or communicate with people who are not there. So that would be a hallucination. If someone keeps on believing and really know that, and we are just considering him, and we are just feeling like we are going to have the sense of his presence. That's what we have. Sometimes we bring this to our parents, our relatives, and we have that sense of presence. We say, I feel his presence. So it's not a delusion, it's a form of respect in that sense. So finally, for the ones who have, everyone's beloved deceased ones who are expecting merits, maybe in this life or in past lives, may they rejoice on this merit, and ones who are in suffering, may they be free from suffering, and ones who are in happiness, may they elevate in their happiness and finally attain the final liberation. May the deities who are rejoicing on these merits, especially the ones who are protecting the Sasana, protecting the world, and also this institute, may they rejoice in this merit and finally attain the final liberations. And all of you, anyone who's participated, organized, and telecasted, may everyone be happy in this very life, in the following lives, and finally attain the liberation. So we shall dedicate the merit to the beloved ones. Idang wo nyati nang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo. Idang wo nyati nang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo. Idang wo nyati nang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo. Akasattha ca bhummatta deva naga mahiddika. Punyantang anumoditva chiran rakkantu sambuddha sasanang. Akasattha ca bhummatta deva naga mahiddika. Punyantang anumoditva chiran rakkantu sambuddha desanang. Akasattha ca bhummatta deva naga mahiddika. Punyantang anumoditva chiran rakkantu sambuddha savakan chiran rakkantu tan sada. Imina punya kammena mami bala samagamo satan samagamo hotu yava nibbana pattiya. Imina punya kammena mami bala samagamo satan samagamo hotu yava nibbana pattiya. Imina punya kammena mami bala samagamo satan samagamo hotu yava nibbana pattiya. Idam me punya kammang asawakkaya vahang hotu. Idam me punya kammang asawakkaya vahang hotu. Idam me punya kamang asawakkaya vahang hotu sabba dukkha pamuncatu.